Hi there, traders, and welcome to Trade the Structure. It's the US morning recap for the overnight action. We're heading into the Asian market session for the 26th of Jan. All right, so it was a negative night again in the US. They did push back up, mostly push back up to test the close from the previous session, but then failed off that. It was mainly driven by the tech again, tech sector. There's still a lot of concerns around the markets about what the US Fed's going to say tonight. They're out, very late session of the US tonight, the FOMC minutes, and just to get a gauge of what they're thinking about interest rates for the coming year, basically. So that's still pressuring the market, along with Ukraine news and a potential new war kicking off. But we'll see how that plays out. But that's sort of capping the market. That's capping the enthusiasm of the market to start buying off these lows. So we'll kick over. You got the S&P, the broader market S&P. We're just going to go through the 30-minute charts, the action from the overnight session. Big S&P, you can see it's open. It's found a bit of a buying, some buyers defending off that low, popped up, then failed late into the session. That was mainly driven by, like I said, Nasdaq. You can see the Nasdaq here, which really, it's same sort of action, but it was less enthusiastic about moving up to the high. And it's still hovering around this major support level around, say, the 14,200 level, or that zone through here, which is major support, which we highlighted yesterday. So check out that video if you want. You can see that that's still looking like it's pressure. Now, if that level starts to hold and we start to break through these lows here at, say, 14,000, then I think we could have another big leg on the way down. But I wouldn't be surprised if the market's sitting around waiting for FOMC till late, which is 6 a.m. Sydney time. I think it's 6 a.m. Sydney time late in the US session, so just under another day away. Yeah, 6 a.m. and then this press conference is at 6:30, so it's something to keep an eye out. So you can see that, like I said, if it starts breaking through these lows, it could be off and racing to the downside. And that's going to drag down the big S&P and more than likely drag down the Dow as well. Now, the Dow, a bit more enthusiastic, didn't sell off really as hard coming to the close. It's more, tech related at the moment, but there's room on the short side. We can see the longer term momentum is down. The short side momentum is up and starting to roll. So it may be getting a bit heavy again. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Now, the DAX and the FTSE did bounce back, but not too much. They were still overly concerned. I mean, it's not really a bounce back when they were down. The DAX was down 500 points a session before, and it's only up 112. So it's only less than 1%. They were down a couple of percent. Same with the UK. It was down a hell of a lot the night before. So it's really a bit of a bounce. But the problem is, you can see with the DAX, longer term momentum's down. You've got short term momentum has turned up, but the market's going sideways. Not a very good sign. You really do want to see a bit of a spike higher, take out the previous highs. Instead, it's been sort of chopping around those lows, which could mean if the short-term momentum turns over again, we might start to charge down through those lows and take out new lows. Okay, that's that support zone through there, and that's that range we've been talking about the last few sessions. You can see that was sort of trended up from was it January? About March, April, when they got hit. It's been trending up after that big hit through the start of COVID. And then pretty much going sideways for quite a while now, and it's down the bottom end of that range. Now, if it does, like I said, break out, it's going to take out a few stops in that level and really pressure the market lower. FTSE, it's still in this uptrend we spoke about yesterday. You can see that there, that little uptrend now. If that same sort of thing, it starts to hold through these levels, which is pretty much where it closed, starts to hold in here, then expect that to take out those lows and start to charge lower. That's sort of the bottom end of that rising channel. Okay, if that doesn't hold, if we don't start holding into these zones and through here, then you're looking a lot lower to 69.90 or below 7,000. Okay, could really be starting to take a hit. We'll have to wait and see. There's still some price action to go first before we start seeing negativity, any serious negativity. Wouldn't be surprised if it sort of pops up, flushes out some of these shorts a bit more, and then rolls. Okay, look at the ASX from yesterday. Now the ASX is closed today, so we're not going to really won't talk too much about that because there's another night to come. So we've still got the FOMC, then all hell could break loose tonight in the US, and we're going to be a different scenario altogether. But that has been a lot of risk off onto the ASX, and like I said, we've been short this from on the CFD 73.25, so somewhere around here, just breaking through these lows with a nice tight stop, and it's played out really nicely. Partial exit already, just trailing the second half. So we'll see how that goes. That's the ASX down to this key support zone through here as well. So after that sort of extension down, you do expect some sort of activity from buyers to start to defend this level, see if they can defend this level, may flush and pop back up. If it flushes the low and pops back into the range, then I'll be looking for a higher low to buy into. But if it doesn't, starts to sort of drift its way back up, edge its way back up, then I'll be looking for another shoulder, another lower high to keep pressuring down. But that's a decent sell-off, which could easily correct. So what that's going to do, any short sellers, you wouldn't want to be selling it down here. You want something, you want more of a pullback to sell into, and buyers will be tempted to go bargain hunting. Okay, we'll look at the dollar index. Dollar index, it did fall away from the start of the US session, but it's still in an uptrend. I think this level down here at 95.85, about 95.85, this zone through here, if that continues to hold, then we're going to continue uptrend, and I would expect that sort of selling pressure to be negated, and we'll start to head back up to 96 or through 96 at least, to that 96.40 area, okay, which is these highs from previously. Euro US, again, like the dollar, it's just reversed, it's in a downtrend. Okay, had a good move down, squeezed out some of these sellers, popped up. If the US dollar starts to get buoyed again and starts to get bought back up, expect that to roll over and start to press back into this zone at 112.40. Okay, this major support area. Now it looks like longer term, to me, we've been looking at this rising level here. It's been choppy, but that's major sell-off, correction, potentially another sell-off here. Okay, we just have to wait and see. If it doesn't press down much further than this low, we're going to have a major double bottom on our hands, and we expect the US dollar is going to roll over. That's the pound. Pound has, like I said, major double bottom here, not major double bottom, but off a major support zone, and start to work its way up. Just because it couldn't get through the first time doesn't mean it's going to take a deeper correction. Start to find some sellers, maybe up into this area here, might be sort of up into this zone. It may be pressed up into there and then find some sellers and jam back down to this support and have a deeper push lower. But again, it's going to be dependent on what the US dollar does. You can see this longer term momentum is down. It's just popping up at the moment because short-term momentum is popping up. Now, if that starts to roll over, expect that to flatten out a bit and then roll into the support. Aussie dollar. We were looking at this yesterday, this big spike, or yesterday, the day before, big spike up into that 71, 73 area on news. I highlighted that as a potential selling opportunity when it was right up into that level, and it did back off and come right back down again to 71.20, back into the support zone, which is around 71.30. It has bounced off there now, so if that starts to hold, we might expect a bit of a grind back up. But again, if this level holds through here, which is going to be important to see, 71.74, there's going to be some liquidity there from sellers, you would expect. If it starts to hold again and you get a lower high, you can work so that off to the bid again. If not, if we start to pull back too deep and we start finding some bids above this level, then I'd expect this to push up and break through this level up here. But again, it's going to be dependent on what the US dollar does tonight, and probably going to be a fairly bit quiet today, considering the ASX is closed. And then you've got FOMC later tonight, which the Forex market's going to be sitting there just waiting for that, coming to that level, and it's probably going to be more choppy. So I expect it probably to be range bound between these two levels. Just chop around in between there until they find out more about the FOMC, what the Fed has in plan or has installed for interest rates. US yen, bit of a grind off this level here, 113.50, grinding up, which is not a great sign for the US dollar. But then again, if the US dollar starts to head south, it's going to be interesting. I would expect the Japanese yen, because I would expect probably if it starts to head south too much, I would expect maybe the indices are going to be buoyed a bit, which means probably any safe haven buying into the yen is going to be capped, or it's probably going to be squeezed out, which means both the US dollar and the yen is going to find some selling, which may just cap this, may still find that this level holds, but at the moment we just have to wait and see. Get over to gold. Gold break the 1843 level, back up to these highs, flushed through the highs, but sort of broke through the start of the US session, broke up through the level, retested, held, and then sort of held those gains into the close. It did fail once it sort of flushed this level, took out some stops at 1852, and then failed when the US failed back into the close, US close. But for now, what we want to see, if this gets retested and holds at 1844, 1843, then look for, on the shorter time frames, around the 30, might be trading off a 5-minute, for example, to see if you can get a higher low to work off, just to manage the risk and see if we can push back up through 1850 tonight or later tonight. Again, I think that's going to be really dependent. Don't forget this longer term trend line is down. We're sort of just failed there. Let's go to the daily just to show you what I'm talking about there. When it comes up, there you go. You can see that trend line still in that zone. So don't get too over eager. I'm not going to get too over eager on any longs just yet. But I think this on the daily, we could have a big flush back to the bottom and this rising high lows, create another high low and then go. I mean, we know what gold's been doing lately. It's been a real struggle for any inflation hedging. Traditionally, an inflation hedge, buy gold, but it just hasn't been happening lately. Crude oil, that's your daily chart. Like I said yesterday, it's reacting off that daily high. Let's just go back down to the 30-minute. It did rally back up last night. You can see spike back up into that zone. I would expect it to get a bit heavy. We've got inventories out late tonight. I would expect it potentially to start to be capped into that 85.50 area, into these highs, potentially not getting through that holding. Okay, that level there is about 86, so 86 even. I would expect it to get a bit heavy, maybe back off there, but that rally into oil, again, concerning for inflation. Copper has held this zone through 438. Looking pretty good. Held a big, nice big bid zone from previously. Rallied up, come back in there, tried to take it out, held it again, start to hold up. So I would really be looking for something higher low to be based, and then we can work up something, maybe like this. Big. We've had maybe this is the push up here, pull back, hold a higher low, and then see if we can go. Okay, so that's ideally what I'd be looking for from here. Now the bonds, don't expect too much action until FOMC. Like I said before, short term, longer term. Factored in potentially 4 rate rises for the year. See what the Fed has to say tonight. There could be action into them, or it could just be relatively mute. Okay, but the Fed is not going to show their hand too much. They're going to say there's going to be 4 rate rises this year. It's just analysts anticipating from what's happening with inflation, CPI numbers and stuff like that. And it's still very, very high, and the Fed has to do something soon. So it's really about when are they going to raise rates potentially next? Are they going to confirm it for March, around that zone, around that time for rate rises? We'll have to wait and see. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. Thanks for joining me. Remember to take a look at the website, www.tradethestructure.com, for more information, more handy tips and tricks on trading. And then if you like the video, great if you could leave us a like, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow.